Hello and welcome to another review by the GameNut. As some of you may recall, when we last left off Final Fantasy XII, I suffered a minor, complete psychological breakdown. This of course resulted in me hiring a psychiatrist. Long story short, he told me I was being immature and I had no reason to be angry. Don't you just love it when someone completely misses the point on why you're angry about something? Heck, anyone who's played Mass Effect 3 knows that. Anyway, he told me I needed to combat my demons and continue reviewing Final Fantasy XII. Then, just 2 days after, he left on an extravagant vacation cruise that's gonna last for the next 3 months. Where that cruise is going, I don't know, but I do hope that a band of angry pirates hold the ship hostage and then try to force the Australian government to lift the ban off Left 4 Dead 2. Hey, at least he's getting the better end of the stick. I'm stuck with Final Fantasy XII. Okay, here's what's happening so far. Apparently there's this big war between Big Bad Arcadia and the rather ineffectual Rosaria. So apparently the King of Dalmasca goes to surrender, only they don't, or something. I don't really know, and to be honest, I don't really care. After about 30 seconds of actually playing the game, I got to the first fight and completely lost it. Before I go over the fighting system, however, I believe it's necessary to discuss the combat from the previous games. Doing so will illustrate just how high this series fell. You see, Final Fantasy is primarily a turn-based RPG, which, in English, means that you and an enemy take turns smacking each other until hopefully the enemy dies. This allows for more tactical gameplay because you're almost always going to get hurt. You have to plan out your attacks and moves, most of which are dictated through these menus. For example, when you want to attack an enemy, you have to select attack, select the enemy, and then your character just attacks. Of course, it's not just attacking in which you do this, it also applies to limit breaks, healing, magic, pretty much anything you can do to an enemy or your teammates. Most fights boil down to what decisions you decided to take to kill the enemy. And if you die, it's usually due to a flaw in your logic or a mistaken judgment. Basically, if you like Pokemon, you're pretty much guaranteed to like Final Fantasy as well. As for the idiots, I mean gamers, who've never played Pokemon, the only way you're really gonna know if you like Final Fantasy is if you try at least one of the games. Preferably 6, 7, or 9, or 10. Now, with all that in mind, let's examine Final Fantasy XII's battle system. Oh, I'm going to hate this. The biggest difference you'll immediately see upon starting Final Fantasy XII is that the battles are no longer turn-based. Believe it or not, I actually liked what they were going with this. They wanted to make an entirely new Final Fantasy, one that is no longer turn-based and can appeal to the mass audiences today. Furthermore, it could breathe new life into this franchise. I mean, 10 installments that were all turn-based? There's gotta be some changes there. However, what they actually did is just so bad and so unforgivable that it tears down the already weak foundation this game stood upon. Battles go down like this. You bring up a menu, select attack, target the enemy, and that's it. Upon actually selecting the action, you'll see this little bar at the bottom of the screen fill up. Once it fills up, your character does the action. Doing the action drains the bar so it has to fill up again, and this process goes on and on until all the enemies are dead. Basically, the combat is automated. The only input you ever put into the game is the action that you select. You can move around the enemy if you want. It doesn't do anything as far as I'm aware. It doesn't help you dodge attacks, so it's almost completely pointless. When I first played this, I thought I missed something. I mean, there's no way anybody could think an automated combat system would be fun. But to my surprise and utter dismay, I was right. This is how you fight. Where do I even begin with this? Oh, I know. It's completely boring. It's just hard to put into words just how stupid this whole concept is. I mean, you're waiting for your character to kill off the enemy. You're not doing anything, you're just waiting. You know what this is like? This is like if you got in a fight with a street gang. Except you didn't fight, You just told some bodyguards to do it. At the end of the day, who really won the fight? Did you? Well, you didn't do anything. You just told someone else to do it. So therefore, you didn't fight. And therein lies the problem with Final Fantasy XII. You're not really doing anything. You're just telling some idiot on screen to do your own dirty work. You see, by choosing this style of gameplay, it robs the player of any satisfaction that they really killed the enemy. Now, I realize that in the original games, you weren't really controlling the character there either, but at least I felt like I was contributing something. At least there I felt like that I won the battle. But here, it's just basically the game beating itself for you. Is that fun? Actually, you know what? I have a good idea. Imagine if other games had automated combat. For instance, imagine playing God of War with an automated combat system. Imagine that instead of just mashing the buttons over and over and over again, you just had to face the enemy and you do the entire combo. Imagine if in Super Mario World, where Yoshi just ate every enemy in his way. And, best of all, imagine if GoldenEye 007 played like this. Imagine that there's no fire button. Imagine that all you had to do was just look at the enemy, and bam, the enemy's dead. No, you know what? Scratch that. Imagine this applied to every shooter. Resident Evil 4 having an automated shooting system. Mega Man X having an automated shooting system. And yes, even Call of Duty having an automated shooting system. Horrified yet? Well, guess what? That is basically what Final Fantasy XII is. In short, automated combat sucks. It's not fun, it's not satisfying, and most of all, it is just completely boring. Alright, enough about the stupid combat. Let's just continue playing the game itself. After downing your first of many enemies, you are then treated to what I assume is a boss. I'm extremely hesitant to call this a boss for two major reasons. First of all, it is disgustingly easy. I mean, yeah, Final Fantasy IX's bosses were easy, but this makes them look like Sephiroth from Kingdom Hearts. My second reason is that you don't even get to kill the boss. When you lower its health down halfway, you get this cutscene. Now, as cool as that was, it does raise a few questions, like, why didn't he do this in the first place? Some might say that the machine needed to be weakened first, but tell me, do you really think a bunch of dudes with swords can make a dent in this thing? Although you can cast magic if you want, or magic, as this game calls it. More specifically, you can cast thunder, which machines are supposedly weak to, but it doesn't do much more damage than a physical attack, so really, what's the point? I think the bigger question here is, what on earth is this laser? Is it a powerful magic? Is Bosch a mutant? Can anyone do this? And if so, why can't they do it right now? Are there really tiny lasers mounted to Bosch's hands? What is it? I also find this a missed opportunity because you could have had a character bring up the game's gimmick. You know, 6 had the Espers, 7 had Materia, and 8 had the GFs. In fact, you could have had some random character go up and say, "Oi, that sure helped us real good, mate." Instead, all that happens is that the ship gets on its radio, you know, because all ships had radios in the year 704, duh, and hold on a minute, did he just say Tonberry? You mean, like, this Tonberry? Perhaps I should explain. You know the monsters from the previous Final Fantasies? Well, the majority of them are airships now, and that goes for the summons as well. This is kind of a mixed bag, because on one hand, this allows for more creative enemy designs and summons. On the other hand, your favorites are not going to be here. Sorry, Final Fantasy summons, you'll be missed. Ah well, at least they're in Final Fantasy XIII. Anyway, after the game kills its own boss, you then encounter more enemies? What? Wasn't the boss enough? You have to subject us to even more of this wretched fighting? You know, at least in God of War when they do this, they give you a new move so you want to try it out. They give you enemies to try it out on. But here, nothing changed before and after the boss. You're still the same idiot, so what's the point of the boss? I guess it was to show off the gimmick, but again, they didn't tell us what it was. Why have the boss at all? The only thing worth mentioning is that it establishes that the classic monsters are now airships, but the later scenes also confirm this, so really, there's no point. Anyway, your party runs inside the castle, and that's where I'm going to stop for now because, really, we're going to need a lot more time if we're going to discuss the problems that are coming up. So until next time, I'm the GameNut, and this concludes part 2 of my Final Fantasy XII review.